Evening and welcome to the February Greenways Open Space meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7:05. Please stand and let us recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I will call the roll. St. Pierre is absent. Urbani? Here. Weeks? Here. Geist? Here. Frucci? Absent. Phillips?
Here.
Loveday?
Here.
Shelton? Robinson? And Carl Bloetscher has to work late because he has a hearing tomorrow, so we do have a quorum. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented? I have one. We will remove the presentation that was scheduled to be conducted today, and we will reschedule it for a future meeting.
So move.
Second? Second by Mr. Urbani. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I have a very brief update for the guide to the natural areas.
Okay, good. Thank you. Shall we put you down under reports? We've already approved the agenda as. Could I have a motion I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our January 24th meeting. I suspect everyone got the minutes they're in your packet if you did not.
Great. So moved.
Moved by
Brief.
Weeks. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of the January 24th Greenways Open Space meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Good, thank you. In your packet, you will notice right after the minutes at least our revenue and expenditures for the period ending 1/31/23. And so it's at least the budget as we have it from 23-24. One of our tasks is to, for our next meeting and certainly for April, is that we need to approve a budget for the 24-25 fiscal year at our next meeting. So I bring this to you today and we can have some discussion about it. But we can also, I think, electronically, because there are some elements that we need to clarify, and we can send those, and then we can have a final presentation at our March meeting to approve the budget. And March will be a very busy meeting, as you know, because it's not only the budget, but we have to look at our goals. We have to set the dates for all the meetings for 24-25. We have to elect new officers, so forth. So it'll be a busy meeting. So please plan accordingly. But, and I did put at least a front and a back on the revenue and expenditure report. The back side of it is at least for the month of January that was consistent with our last meeting, that we demonstrated that we had $6,650 that we spent from our maintenance fund.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions here, and not being an accountant, I'm not sure I understand everything. But as you said, the January expenditures listed here is $66.50.00.
Yes.
But yet on the front page, the month under, it says $6,952.94, which is almost $303 different. So I don't understand why there's a difference between those two numbers.
I don't either.
Now, the other thing that, like I said, I'll be honest, I don't understand these budgeted items and all that stuff, but looking at it for the year-to-date, or fiscal year-to-date through January 31st, we've had expenditures of $22,414.26.
Right.
With revenues of $14,252.56, which means we've spent in total $8,161.70. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that it looks like our final budget, I guess our numbers right now remaining is $182,585.74. But that also includes the capital money. And so what puzzles me is that going up above under expenditures, it shows capital outlay at $20,000. I guess that doesn't seem like an actual figure, because our purchases don't come out to nice round numbers like that.
Well-
So are they just transferring some kind of budget figure in there? Because the 20,000 says we have for maintenance costs 162,585.74,
No.
but is that the case?
No, the 20 is for the land purchases.
Right.
Okay, so we have two funds, right? Okay, that, and we do know that number is fixed, okay? That the $20,000 after our last land purchase that we did last year is that the fund came down to we depleted it to the $20,000. So when you're looking at that item, like 2450, 101, 97 point, whatever that is, capital outlay, land purchase, you look all the way across, that's what we have, and that's currently what we have in the bank for purchasing land.
I guess my point is, I find it hard to believe it's exactly $20,000. Because like I said, our purchases aren't to even numbers.
Well, maybe they rounded
Including-
it. Maybe they rounded it, but
Well, I'm just saying, I guess, are they just putting in a budget number here? Is there a way to find out what actually is that? Because obviously it does affect to a smaller extent what the actual
Right.
maintenance is. Like I said, I don't understand how necessarily
Right.
accounting function, but I just find that one number just seems to be kind of out of place with everything else. I understand that the total 182,585, and it's just a matter of that small amount. But
Well-
I'll let it go with that. And if
okay, I was going to say, I do know when we were making the last land purchase, the property off of Horace Mill, there were some, however those funds were transferred to the township, because we bought it from the town, the township, we purchased it, but it's now in open space in perpetuity. Whether or not that was a perfectly round number or it included other fees and that for transfers, I don't know. But the bottom line, when I'm looking at our available funds, we're looking at $20,000 in the land purchase millage fund. The other thing, and maybe we can go to the next page, go to the back page here, where it says open space maintenance budget. This might help us. When we put our budget together over the course of time, and again, this kind of format has been used pretty consistently for many, many years. I know when I first came on this board, and some of you, Bert, I think you've been here longer than I. This is pretty much when Cliff was the chairperson, this was the document that pretty much we used, but we've also modified it. So for our purposes, at the top of this, where it says maintenance fund status, as of last year, 3/31, we started out, let us say, the fiscal year with $185,000. Everybody's following that, right? As of this date, our maintenance fund is $162,585.74, which reflects expenditures, as you see below, for this fiscal year to date. And again, it's April 1st to March 31st is our fiscal year. was $22,414.26. That's our expenditures. So when we're looking at our budget in the bottom line, we can maybe look at the bottom line there. We budgeted this year for like, of our maintenance fund, $36,000. We, quote, only spent, at least to our knowledge, $22,414.26. So we're under budget, is what I'm saying, and I think everybody can follow that. Now, how these are allocated is something maybe that we can either do this today if you prefer, or we can do it maybe even in a little different way. First off, we know a couple quick things, and I need your input on this. We know we have three main expenditures generally when it comes to this committee. Right, okay, number one, we do 2 dump the junks that cost about, the actual cost was like $7,871, or pretty much like $3,935 each time we do a dump the junk. That includes all the roll-offs, any kind of signage that we have to update, any kind of, changes to, we gotta rent a porta-john, things of that nature. So that all goes into dump the junk.
And the dumpsters.
And the dumpsters, right? But I also have to, not only you have to get them here, but you also have to get them out of here. And that's part of an issue. But that's all, so let's say for our biggest, one ticket item is dump the junk. The huge ticket item that we have that varies from year to year, and if you look at it over the course of like even 5 years, it's been as high as $25,000.
Dump the junk?
No, for tree removal or trail maintenance. So it's been, those are our next major expense. So, and again, when you're looking at this, this fiscal year up to this date, we spent about $13,958,000. So let's say $14,000 in terms of tree cutting.
Maintenance.
And trail maintenance throughout the course of the fiscal year. So from April 1st, 2023 to like today, this is what we've spent. And then we have some miscellaneous kind of, so if we're talking about, we need a new trail sign, which we know is going to cost $125, those kind of trail signs. Or if we know the DPS needs a particular tool that needs to be sharpened or that, they're going to take it to the hardware and there's going to be miscellaneous costs. We do our mailing for our new residents, welcome letters and things of that nature. We know that that's an expense. So all those go into that. So when you're looking at our total, at least major expenditures, those are, I would like to say, our three main items. So, and when we're preparing our budget for next year, we know one of the things that we're looking to do is we're looking to update our signage, because some of our signs are almost 40 years old in some cases, and they're illegible, and that was what our presentation is on and is going to be on further discussion. So does that make sense? So my question to you guys, in terms of like where we're at, how much we've spent. Do you want to do this line by line, or would you rather do this like electronically through a working format that we can take a look, realizing that you're going to spend about $8,000 on dump the junk for sure. You're going to spend another X amount of dollars within a range for trail maintenance and tree cutting, and then some miscellaneous fees. And some of these miscellaneous fees we haven't touched. So however you want to do it, I'm willing. We're doing pretty good time-wise.
Bill, one thing in the budget, I saw it somewhere, no, I don't see it. The new benches, the cost of the new benches.
Right.
Was.
It's not, well, first off, this column.
Not in this?
No, it's here.
Those trail signs and-
Trail signs, benches, not spelled
But
properly.
did we just buy
But
three?
that's from last,
That's last year.
that's last year.
Okay, that's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's very hard for me to say, oh, 2023, that's like, we're still here, right?
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. But do you want to go line by line and we can prepare it? I mean, or you want to work at it a different way? How would you prefer to do it?
Well, first off, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
is it possible that we can get an itemized breakout like we did a year ago?
yes, that's
For the year-to-date expenses?
That's what we don't have, okay? So, one of the things that is missing for us to prepare this, and my frustration too, is that, we didn't get the invoice register for the entire fiscal year. I don't have that to give to you at least today, okay? But I can when I get it, I can send it, forward it. And what we can do, we can kind of go through that, if that be the case, and see our actuals. But again, I pulled it from past invoices that we all have, okay? So, generally, we're pretty paper intense, right? So I calculated it according to that. So these numbers that I'm giving you are pretty accurate, based on what we spent.
Well, I'm not disputing that, I'm just
No,
looking
no.
at, we can compare this what from a
Exactly.
year ago, 'cause like you said, well, this was only through February, but for 11 months of the last fiscal year, we
Right.
had $31,000, of which 25,000 was for tree service.
Mm-hmm.
The dump to junk only came in at roughly 4,000, so that's one of the reasons I want to look at it is,
Right.
do we need to modify how we split up some of the monies in that regard? But and we have flexibility that if we go over in one particular area, we can always shift something
Oh,
from another fund.
right.
Try to stay within the overall budget. We're not restricted to
Right.
each category necessarily. It's just,
Right.
actually, technically, we're not restricted to anything. It's just, we have a finite amount of money. It's not renewable every
Right.
year. So that, to be frugal, to make sure we keep ourselves at or below what we budget, to make sure we extend
Right.
the funds that we have for as long as we
I agree.
practically.
No, I
can.
agree.
Okay.
Anyone else, or any ideas on how you want to attack this?
Well, I'm fine with doing a budget, electronically for discussion. Just add another column in there of what your best guess is for the budget of 2023 versus actual, so that we can plan the budget for 24, 25.
Right.
And I think that's all you need. And I already talked to the township. I think I emailed you last time in terms of a 20% increase in labor, and I think there was a little increase in the junk as well, or the waste management
Right.
handling. So, add the 20% on to the one for dump the junk, would probably give you a pretty good number. And then, I think understanding that, the trail maintenance on a couple of the trails, take another look at them or whatever, I think you should be able to hit the budget pretty close in the categories you
Right.
want. So, I'm not worried about it. We kind of, 22 is probably going to come in, I would think, at 25 or something
Mm-hmm.
versus 36.
Right.
When we didn't get done as much as our goals that we wanted to, I think tells me that we budgeted pretty good.
Right.
So,
Well, when you come in under budget and you still have, and meet a lot of your goals, I think that's what we're
great.
here for, right?
right. Well,
Right.
we came under budget as well, because we didn't, we dropped off some of them due
Yes,
to COVID
yes.
and all that stuff. So, in better ways of doing it. So I would say it was good.
Anybody else?
I agree with Theresa.
So, for our next meeting, help me out with this, okay? So for our next meeting, number one, we need to get the invoice register for the entire year.
Right.
And then what we can do is that we can take a look at some of these line items that we have here. And in some cases, we know, and let me just use the trail maintenance as an example. keep in mind, when we were looking at the trail maintenance piece, we created 2 new trails.
Right.
So we were working on the Ferry Gauge Trail, which was an expense. And we also were working on and did work on the East River Connector to the Meridian Woods Trail. So there's, so that's gonna fall off from the standpoint is that we don't have to, that's a major expense other than, okay, hey, we need to maintain it to a lower degree, as opposed to, we have to create the trail itself. So,
Right. Yeah, but how much we spent on that would definitely give us an idea of how to budget for the remainder maintenance.
and your point's well taken about, labor costs going up and things that go, more expensive.
And also keep in mind that we are looking at moving a section of the old bridge, bike path bridge to a section in the Meridian Woods. And so that's something that we haven't done before. So there's going to be other
There'll be other
expenses
right.
that we end up picking up in that regard.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, we didn't update the guide.
and that's an expense, so we know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I
Right.
can look into, I can call the printer.
Well, yeah, the other piece is, for example, in years past, we've had open space wood cutting, and so we didn't allocate any money to that this year, fiscal year, because we weren't doing it, okay? Same too with the eradication of invasive species. I don't think we've done a lot of Phragmites, control or anything in that regard. Or, we can, okay, but if we see a need, but I don't know if we think that there's that need.
I thought we were doing a study first or something.
Yeah, right.
Or a test area or something.
Yeah,
or
correct.
Did they not pick?
Yeah, you're right. So I'm just saying is that just because we may have had that expense last year, it may not be the same. That's all, and vice versa. So does that make sense? One thing we do know is that, like you said, Theresa, we budgeted for 36,000 out of our maintenance fund, which is a finite fund, and we spent anywhere from 22, like you said, to $25,000. So we're under budget. So anything else on that? And so I think we can have communication in that regard, and go from there. Any further discussion on at least the budget, what we need to do, but we know at our next meeting, we have to adopt it.
Took over the invoices.
Yes, we'll get those to you. Okay. Our next order of business or list, anything else on the budget? Is our Greenways Open Space Committee Goals Assessment. Because another thing that we have to do at the end of the fiscal year is that we give like an annual report to the township board. And so included in your packet is, I didn't print these in color, I was being frugal. It starts off with a big heading, Township of Groseal. And these are the goals and objectives for this year. And one of the things we have to do is twofold. Number one, we generally say, yes, we've completed it. It's partially completed, right? Or no, we have not done it at all. So we can identify that. The other thing you need to maybe think about, and we can bring this up at our next meeting in March, is what other goals might we have for 24-25 fiscal year. Keeping also in mind, I know and Theresa spent a lot of time on this, we have a 5-year plan that we have to kind of like dovetail and make sure that that kind of fits. So our goals that we are proposing for 24-25, we also have a 5-year plan. And I'm not so sure, does everybody have that copy of that 5-year plan?
Might not be a bad idea to send it out again.
Send that
just
also?
in case we've.
Oh, we had a 10-year plan too, didn't we?
Yeah.
5 and
Well,
5 and
I
10.
work 1 year at a time, but yeah, I believe, yeah. Sometimes 1 day at a time, but yes. So we have that, yeah, it's out there. So this, I think we can say, yes, we've completed it, or it's partially completed, not, or under in progress, or not done at all. So do we want our first goal there, continued monitoring of all open space areas and maintenance of the existing trailways in the wildlife sanctuary, Island Ferry Woods, Parkway Woods, Meridian Woods, Centennial Farm open space?
Yes.
I believe we've done a good job of that.
So we would say that we have completed that.
Yes.
And we probably should also say that we have, and maybe that's under another one of our goals, that we've exceeded it because we also now have opened the ferry gauge trail. So that's the Island Ferry Woods, but now we've expanded that. And also you have the East River connector to the Meridian Woods, so you have the East River connector.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. Complete with upgrades to ferry, or,
And so what we'll say is that as we respond to this, we'll basically tell them, yes, this has been completed. We've done this, this, and this. Right. How about number 2? Conduct 2, dump the chuck, or anything else on the first one? Continued monitoring.
Bill, can I ask a question about the first one?
Yes.
Is Parkway Woods, is that the space between Parkway and Macomb? It's open space?
Yes.
Thanks.
And basically what it is, it's the area behind the place,
Behind the place.
Playscape,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
because we have a trail there.
Thanks, because I'm not that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Anything else on the first one?
No.
2, dump the junk, find a treasure events in spring and fall. We did those. Yep. And I think we have, we can dig out pretty easily the figures on that. Our spring one last year had more than 550,
555.
555
I remember that.
visitors. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big
And this one, one in the fall had, it was probably a football weekend.
It was.
It was, right. So it's,
2:30 or something, I remember.
yeah, maybe more than that. We'd have to look, maybe 3:30, I think. But even so, we did 2 of those.
So we set a record in the spring,
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
so you can mention that.
Launch Adopt a Trail, Adopt a Plot, and Friends of Groseville Natural Area programs for increased community involvement.
We had a lot of discussions on that. I don't know that we came up with the launch of it.
Right.
I don't know that we found a partner to launch with, I
No.
guess.
So how do you want to characterize that? Not,
Say no, yeah.
say no, not,
Well, we could say incomplete, in
incomplete,
progress.
Complete, there you go.
incomplete,
Because
Underway.
or underway.
Well-
It sounds like you're
well, if
on a
we're
ship.
if we're still interested in pursuing this, then we should make this an
Right.
objective in that, so
Right.
so we can continue.
Keep in mind,
on
that
with
can carry over to your next year, right? That's the whole idea. So it's incomplete. Underway?
Underway, yeah.
Because here's kind of as an ancillary, here's how this did happen. We did get a Groseville resident, Mr. Vollenweider, who linked up with a partner, a private partner, to willingly, obviously, make a improvement into the bridges there. So there is and we'd like to encourage that. I mean, that's something we'd like to bring forward, obviously. So as our budgets kind of shrink, or our budgets are are modified somehow, we know that this could be something that we really want to pursue. We want to get more community involvement in this.
That could be our first recipient of acknowledgement
Yes,
of the program.
yep,
I like it.
perfect.
Good.
Mm-hmm, good. So it's underway.
And maybe increase publicity about it.
Mm-hmm, yes, very much so. No, very much so.
I like
Uh,
it.
How about anything else on the launching? It's okay. How about we re-engage the schools K through 12 in environmental awareness, increased involvement, creative use of open space areas?
Well, I think
It's underway.
in my mind, what we've done there is by expanding the committee members to additional liaisons with the high schools, we've started that process of engaging, because school's also gone through administrative changes, right? New principal.
Right.
And do they have a new sponsor for the environmental club or activities at the school?
I think they do.
So there's been some changes there that have kind of, in some way, slowed any progress we made. But the fact that we've added additional, I hate to say resources, but people
Yeah,
to help
right.
us assist on that is what we've actually been able to do.
Yes. So he's been a really big
Oh,
success.
absolutely, right.
That's,
So we have re-engaged, so
Yep.
yes, we have, I mean, it's not like we're not engaged.
yeah,
It's
not
not
engaged.
engaged, okay? So we are engaged, and we want to continue that and expand it.
Yep.
The whole vision of this is not only to get K through 12 involved in like open space programs and open space activities, but also, we're certainly, as we know, we're not adverse to having other off-island school people or people, period, okay? They don't have to be in a school, get them involved also, okay? Because, this is planet Earth that we're dealing with here, not just our own little parochial isolated area. So that makes sense. So anyway, but yes. How about collaborate with the Grosse Hill Nature and Land Conservancy and expanding outreach programs with the school and community?
that's much better, I think.
Much better, and we're
Yes.
doing more.
And we're doing more and more.
Having more contact with them.
And they've offered to help with publicity, social media, et cetera, that,
Right.
like Paul suggested.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking notes, all right. Absolutely. So we're having regular meetings with them too?
And-
We're even invited many times to their meetings? And
Yes.
they're always invited to ours?
I think maybe this issue of getting off-island kids,
Mm-hmm.
if they could help or we could do more, social media with off-island kids, about the open space and the Friends of, Adopt a Plot and, Friends of would be good. But I do know that with the Conservancy, and Bert will testify this, we did the photo contest. And it has worked for a long time, but we've had to stop it because it was really hard to get kids engaged off island as well as on island, right, Bert? As far as, so that engagement off island, I think is a really good idea and we ought to pursue it a lot more. But I think it's complicated from, I think the photo contest for the Conservancy is a good example of it.
Yeah, well, I think COVID just made it very difficult
That's
to
true.
reach out with
It did,
all the
made everything
schools.
harder.
And so participation dropped a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
And
COVID,
teachers
yeah.
are overwhelmed, so it's been hard to connect with them.
Yeah, especially
Very
since
much so.
COVID too, that's a good point. So anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, we are collaborating more than we have, and we want to continue that collaboration. Update the guide to natural areas. Bert, you can speak to that right now.
Underway. So so I got descriptions from some of the properties that were purchased last year by the Conservancy, but I know they're looking at some more properties, so, and then we also acquired properties, so need to add the new ones and kind of redesign the pages because the descriptions fit perfectly and now we have more.
Oh, extra page. All right, I know.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's a good thing.
So is that, I assume that's going to be past the first half of the year.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen within the current fiscal year that ends at the end of March. I don't think that'll happen, but it'll be before, you know,
Before the end of this year, do you think?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right. 'Cause
Do we
I'm
know
not-
who the publisher is of that? Who does the printing on that?
Not offhand.
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
either.
I have it in my notes. but
Okay.
It's been, because that was 2019 was the last one.
Right, was what updated, and there have been changes since there.
And we may want to even, you know, do some, get some bids to figure out who wants to do it.
Okay, good. The last one is evaluate the feasibility of parking areas, providing greater access to open space trails. I think we've done more than just evaluate. In some cases, at least the two new trail areas have at least areas that have already been set aside, if you would, for parking. So the new Ferry Gauge Trail, as you know, when we had our ribbon cutting there, I mean, there's an area there to park. The East River area, the East River connector to the Meridian Woods Trail is, also has a area there for parking. I guess if we, you know, when the Playscape Trail reopens, or the trails through that, there is already parking there, you know, right behind
The bank?
the
bank or
bank
the
area or
Conservancy?
And the post office.
the post office, right behind the
right.
post office.
Yeah.
On the far side, on the west side, you pull in and park there.
Yeah.
The,
Oh, right, that west side.
right,
is
there's the west side,
parking.
the
You're
parking's
right.
already there.
Above that.
And
You got parking down at the bird sanctuary. Is there not, I mean, they can park on, what's that, thoroughfare at that point in time?
Yeah.
That section of thoroughfare? So, I mean, it's muddy but it's parking, you know, per se. You can park there and, you know, go into the bird sanctuary, go on the trails there. So,
we talked about Meridian School for the parking right down the street.
yeah, exactly. And there is parking there. So, I mean, if people wanted, you know, you can park there. You could have a large group, event,
Or
and
you
they
could
could all
even-
park at Meridian and just walk down
Or you could park at the soccer fields.
Okay, yes,
Walk
very much
across.
so.
So I don't see any need for parking there.
Our big challenge when it comes to, and this is maybe an expense we want to look at too, somewhere along the line, is that in some cases, let's look at the two new the Ferry Gauge Trail parking area in the East River parking area. They probably need some sort of gravel base, and then the other wood chips on top.
Yeah.
Because particularly the Ferry Gauge area is still pretty soft and is,
Yeah, the township could do that real quick.
that's what I'm saying. So,
You just
but
use-
again, so who's gonna pay for that or who has that?
Parking.
I mean, that's something, but again, I think it's something that when we're, you know, and while we're also mentioning it, you know, we have an Eagle Scout, you know, Enzo Bonamo, who is working on, now that the thoroughfare canal bridge is open. Okay, thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord.
Now that that's open, there's already like a staging area that DTE and all these other Wayne County have staged, and there's already parking there in
Yeah,
that
down
area, okay? That can also be, and I think there has been gravel put down because of the heavy nature of their work. But we're also looking to have, the Eagle Scout's gonna make a small trail to the canal. And there's been some discussion or some talk about having like a floating dock or a place that you could put your kayak in or something of that nature in that area. So again, that would be an update not only to our natural area, but it would also just to give us an idea that that's an area. So when I'm looking at evaluating, I think we're doing more than just evaluating at this point in time, we're actually doing it. So that's been, at least it has been begun and needs to be continued. Is there anything else while we're at it? And we're still doing okay time-wise. anything that you know it might be considered as a goal for 24, 25? Right off the top of your head, maybe.
Well, as we talked, on the parking areas, at least the Ferry Road one, I would like to see that, like I said, gravelled or, something similar to give it more of a firmer base, because there's no place that you can reliably park along any of those trails and not be out in traffic or somebody's backyard in that regard.
Yeah, I think that one and East River are the two priorities. And, just make sure you're using
Right.
three-quarter down, and, that will compact nicely, and then the chips on top, so it'll be fine.
You don't have a load of bricks you want to just get, no, okay.
But in terms of trails, the one going over at the Centennial Farms off Manchester is in pretty bad shape.
We were talking about that too.
I think that one needs a priority
Mhm.
to get those culverts in and get that walkable again.
Yep.
A lot of new kids in the neighborhood. That's getting to be a young
I saw
neighborhood
that,
now.
yes.
So,
Good. Anything else? Is
No.
there, and I know we've talked about this, but whether we want to cite this as a goal for we're looking at 24, 25. There's been talk about a possible millage for either not only maintenance, but also land acquisition, that we would have that flexibility, and there would be a certain small percentage. And I realize we're saying the dirty three-letter word tax, but in order to maintain so many times the quality of life, that's the price of civilization, as Oliver Wendell Holmes tells us. But yes, but
Gotta pay for
sometimes.
good living.
Yeah. But should we consider that as a goal, or at least we can float that as and realize we have some other members of our committee that are absent, but
yeah, I think it needs to be added at some point. At some point you're gonna, within 5 years you're gonna be out of money. So
yes.
Is next year 2025 gubernatorial election year? I'm just wondering if there's an election in place that obviously would make it easy for us to.
Oh, I know what you're saying, when it goes on the ballot.
Yeah.
I don't think we have gubernatorial elections in odd numbered years.
Well, 25 would be an odd number of years, no?
Right,
No.
yeah, I don't think so.
No, she's saying it's not an odd number.
So you're saying it's
26, I think.
It would be
2 years
20
opposite the
right.
presidential?
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was just 22.
Right.
Yeah, we need to do some thinking about the timing.
Well, I think 2025 was suggested because some millages significant
Are
millages
falling
are
off.
falling
There are those
off.
that are falling off,
that's
and
the
it would
first-
make it,
First year of
you
a
know,
big dip.
residents will actually see, we're hoping, will actually see a tax reduction over the course of some time. And then there'd be, a slight replacement in terms of that. Realizing you're right, Theresa, this would be a nice committee, nice knowing you guys, and thanks for your work. But it's something that we need to look at. I can put it down, you know what I'm saying?
Let's put it down eventually.
Put it there, and we can kind of tweak the a lot of the stuff between now and March, we're gonna do electronically, but
And I think some of our past discussions, we were talking about maybe a tenth of a mil.
Yes.
So it's, in the grand scheme of things, a rather small amount for, I think we said about 5 years.
right, yeah, it would be a limited
So
millage. Okay, anything else right now on this?
And so, Bill, refresh my memory, the last millage that open space had, I know we've talked about it since I've been on, was approval for open space I've forgotten, was like, okay, this is 20,
2003, maybe?
was it that long ago? It was that early, okay.
Long time.
Right. It's been a while.
And I think originally when the community voted on, and again, 2 millages, one for land acquisition, the other one for maintenance. Those are 2 separate, you can't mix them. When they voted on it, I mean, it was like, okay, it's gonna be X amount of dollars for this amount of time, and that was it, okay?
Right.
And whatever money you received, I mean, it's like a sinking fund, so the money goes down. Now, naturally, if people want to donate land or donate money, or, there is interest that is being earned, obviously, on the monies that we're not spending, okay? So we were trying to keep our money in the bank, so that helps. We have donations of, through Dump the Junk, partly, part of the expense is deferred because of the scrap metal, the money comes back, part of it comes back to us for our open space programming, so that's all, what I'm saying. So it's been, over the course of many years, you had a lot of money, and now you've gotten to a point in the acquisition fund, you've got around $20,000, that's it, okay? So you went from, hundreds of thousands of dollars perhaps that you had, but you also got to look at the open space that we have too. And when you take a look at our community compared to other communities, I think it's pretty, makes grow zeal too. That's
Right.
important to know. But the maintenance fund, again, is the programs we do, the things we do are, come at a cost, and we try to do the best we can and steward people's money, and we've been under budget, and I think that speaks to it too.
Thanks for that.
No,
I'd
no.
forgotten.
Mhm.
So that just makes it more important to inform and engage the residents so that they know what a value it is, and then they're willing to vote.
Right, exactly. Yes, as we know. Anything else on those? Good. All right, thank you. But I'll be sending you, Lisa, a clean copy, and then at least some, our assessment as to how well we've completed our goals. And that goes to the township.
There's a sign on a tree at the refuge over by Humbug Marsh, and it's an interesting sign because it looks like the tree has hands that's coming out and holding the sign, but it calculates the benefit in oxygen that the tree produces. So it's
Oh.
It's like this is a benefit
Yeah.
from just me, the tree.
Oh, to the environment and then around us. Yeah, exactly. I guess I'd like to see that. I haven't been down there. But
Yeah, you got to go.
Here, Bert, or at the refuge?
at the refuge.
Yeah,
The
around
refuge.
near the visitor center.
Okay.
But if we start making a point to talk about, the environmental services and stuff that we get from the open space.
Mhm, exactly. No. Okay. Anything? Oh, absolutely. Primary gain, right?
Primary gain, yeah.
Seriously. The next little item on our discussion is this replacement project update, and I know, Zoe, you're going to do your presentation on that, but why don't you talk just a little bit, because I think Mr. Geist has given you some more samples and what we're trying to do, so.
Yes, so I believe it is this Centennial Farms, I may be mistaken, that definitely was the worst. There was one that really stood out. Letters were chipped and really hard to read. But the biggest thing that I saw was with the wood signs was the paint, a lot of it turned darker. So I don't know if that could be part of water or if that's just how it aged. But I made a list of the top 5 signs that I thought would need work. But most of them were actually pretty good. The metal ones look like they could just have a little bit of paint touch up on the green, like scratches where you can see the actual metal, and to be washed. But I was actually surprised that they weren't too bad.
That's bad, right?
Yeah.
Did you send her some?
Yeah, some of the things I had found a few months back. I think the one at 1989, that was faded fairly bad, but obviously that's one of the older signs in that. And some of them weren't too bad a shape. There's lichen growing on some of it. Now, whether that's an easy thing to be cleaned, I can't speak to in that regard, and whether you can repaint some of those, because like I said, some signs I think there's a composite material, and
Crumble. I mean, there gets a
yeah.
point, like you put your hand down, they crumble in your hand, so it's like it's in tough shape. The question I have, and I guess it's something when we're taking a look at this, you know, we have a lot, when we look at their guide to open space or guide to natural areas, there are a lot of places that are, 602 acres of open space on this island, okay? And there are a lot of signage in those areas, okay? When I'm looking at our budget and looking at the fact that it probably for each sign that designates open space, if we want to replace them all, that would be a pretty astronomical cost. So I'm thinking, and again, I'm looking at the pleasure of the board here, or of the committee, about, okay, would it make sense to us to look at the 10 worst, and keep in mind, it's $670, that's a piece, and then you're still gonna have to have some cost to install it. So you're really looking at about, close to $1,000.
yeah, if you allocate $1,000 for each, would be
For
a good
each
way to set a
sign, that's,
budget.
that's $10,000. That's a lot for signage, and we're trying to be, but I think it's something maybe that we need to consider, because we also want to put, on all of our trails, at least proper use of the trail signs, okay? And we don't want to over signage, but it's a question of, I don't think we could, but I don't think we can afford to go, okay, let's canvass the island, and every open space sign that we find, we're gonna replace.
Are we using, just out of curiosity, are we using like commercial businesses for sign making?
Are you saying it's like my
A sign manufacturer?
Yeah, I think the township, and I'm correct me, they have contracted with My Custom Sign, which is like on North Line in, I'm gonna say Southgate maybe.
Taylor.
Oh, Taylor, okay.
So, here's a kind of spitballing idea, but with the advent of CNC machines that are readily more available to amateur woodworkers, and I say amateur meaning not business necessarily, big business woodworking, like a cabinet maker or something like
sure.
that. There are a ton of artists on the island that work with wood, and I'm sure there's probably quite a few that have a CNC machine, which is a computer generated cutting machine, that you could put your design in, and they may be more competitive or more interesting than a commercial bid.
Yeah, sure. Are you aware of any that you would use, or that we could use, or even approach?
I have when I did some volunteer work at the Historical Society there, I know there's some woodworking artists there, so I will get some names and see
Right.
what we can do. But I also, worked with a guy, he lives in Muskegon now, but I was thinking more local, but I know he's got one, so it might be a question I'll ask my friend first if it's even
Sure.
feasible.
Well, I think, and again, when you take a look at a lot of the signage on Groseal, it's all consistent, you know what I'm saying? It
Right.
follows a certain pattern, okay, like these are, the open space signs like this.
Right.
There are other signs, even I think the Welcome to Groseal sign pretty much is the same, they're all, consistent in terms of their,
There
Right,
used-
and
used
which
to
is
be a
why-
sign ordinance.
Yeah, which is why you.
oh, there's still a sign ordinance, yeah.
Sure, and I'm not suggesting
Oh,
we
no.
do wild things,
No.
but I mean, that's why you would need a CNC machine
Absolutely,
to pull it
yeah, no,
off.
because you want to make it consistent.
Right,
And our issue, and again, we've talked about this in this committee, our issue is, okay, besides the consistent, they have to all look, pretty much the same, and we're looking at durability, we're looking at cost, But we want to identify how many acres are there that are protected by open space. We'd like to identify the year they were protected, from how long to how long, And again, in some open space signs, they've been acquired. So it started off as a small parcel, and now over the course of 10, like the Meridian Woods is a classic example, over the course of like 9 years, 8 years, now you've got, 158 acres out there, and that's a pretty significant
Right.
portion of gross yield, so. That makes sense? So, but anyway, yeah, so your point's, well, if you can get us that, and again,
I mean, the answer might be no. I mean,
yeah, all right, I hear that.
maybe it's
But-
not it's cost
Do-
prohibitive to do it.
Do we want to, because one of our suggestions because we wanted to do this for our March meeting, and we can do it. Do we want to go to our different stewarded areas and see, so take the map and say, okay, this is going to be, Mandy, you have this, you've got this section, you've got this, and to at least, go take some, some shots of the, with your camera or with your, with your phone, and at least just kind of get a collection, and we can identify, oh, that one's really bad, that one's really, and so we're looking at maybe narrowing it down to 10 or even 15, depending on how much money you want to spend.
Well, I thought that was,
That's one of our, what I'm saying is one of our
Yeah.
plans.
yeah. Did you do that already, or?
I have about 15 signs.
Yeah,
I believe there's quite a few more.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Bert's looking at the map.
So I could look at the existing guide and look at where everybody lives and say, okay, why don't you wander, to the first 5 or something that are in your neck of the woods and grab a picture, note whether there is a sign, and take a picture if there is.
Right,
So there are,
that's what I'm
So
saying.
you've done how many, 15?
I believe about 15, yes, 14 or 15.
So we kind of need to know which ones they are
Yes.
before we go off on our own and,
Well, if you guys look at the email Mr. Stevenson sent for the last meeting, I had put the
there were pictures, the photos.
link to the presentation in
Oh,
that
oh,
email
okay.
chain.
So you can, okay, these have already been
Oh,
identified.
okay.
And it's been updated
That's
since
right.
then, so
It's
there's
been
more.
Okay.
updated. Oh,
good.
okay, great.
That's great.
Got it, great. Good job,
So are you
good
counting?
job,
well, there's 29 listed, 29 open space areas.
Okay, 29, we have maybe 15 of them done, so that's not too bad. So Bert, why don't you do this, and I'm looking at, in essence of time for us. Do you want to, since you have the guide, and you are the guide guru, do you want to at least allocate them and send everybody an email?
Yeah,
Just say
yeah.
that, hey, can
Yeah.
you check these areas out? You've got this section, you got this section, that way we've got it and we divide it up and it's done.
Yep.
And then we can send it all to Zoe, right?
Okay.
That make sense?
Good.
Okay. Anything else on signage or what we're seeking to do here?
There was a couple of signs that had special emblems on them, so I didn't know if you guys would want to replace those ones because they're a little unique, or if you would because you want it to be uniform.
Well, I do know, I think it's up by the Potawatomi Woods off of where,
It's on Park Lane.
off of Park Lane, the north area by the Presbyterian Church.
That's one of the pictures I
Sign
sent.
That
Sent
whole,
to
yeah,
Zoe.
that whole section was, I think originally, and it's kind of unique in its,
Yeah,
is that the
Behind,
residents pooled their monies together and were able to, as a resident group, set that land aside, purchase the land or set that land aside, and that's why they have a special sign there. It's particular to them by the generous donations of,
Yeah. So it might be in better interest to try and fix it up as much as we can
Right.
rather
Or,
than replace it.
or if we can replace it, I mean, it has a similar, it's the same design, it just has this different.
The little, yes.
Little emblem, different.
And there's a new sign from the Conservancy in that same area too, that's across the street on the east side of Park Lane. Am I right? Yeah, the east side. It's the
right.
Bill Heinrich property.
Right.
That was done in K, and there's a new sign, but it's a Conservancy sign, but it might be worth just a look to see.
Right.
You know, what that one looks like.
Okay.
Does it look like all the others? Can't remember.
Oh, I know. Well, there's at least 29 of them, we know.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Bert, for doing that. Is the first Tuesday of every month okay with everyone? That's the question. We're not looking at meeting dates for 24, 25. Is that generally good?
Yes.
Teresa, good for you?
Yeah, anything else I'd probably forget.
Okay, no, okay, that's fine.
Well, I'll be leaving in August for college, and then March I have to check because I won't be here for spring break. And then the June meeting, I would not be able to
Sure.
be here.
No, I understand. We understand
Yeah.
seniors. Okay.
Yes.
That's why we put two more on, okay? Who missed the memo. Okay, anyway. Tuesdays are good?
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday,
very good.
right?
Yeah.
Or is that October one that
Yeah, I know that too.
traditionally
That's fine.
missed, but
But, okay, that's all I needed to know on that one, okay? Just a question. So for our next, there'll be an action item you'll see on our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Speaking of an action item, at our last meeting, we had a generous offer that we discussed and reviewed from Mr. Vollenweider and Pullman Corporation to refurbish the bridge in the Meridian Woods in the new East River Connector Trail that connects to it. So in the area where, of Heather Lane, in that area, and just off of Manchester, there was a proposal that they would do that, and there was also a proposal to at least like plant some flowers in that area and maybe even put a bench or something of that, and seating area there. So I do know that Carl Bloetscher talked to Derek Thiel, and he was going to get back with us as to exactly some of the stipulations, like, must meet these specifications, might meet these categories, has to do like this. But they were encouraged, as we were, to have a community member and a private corporation support a program like this. So there is an action item on our agenda that we would now seek to approve, the Meridian Woods Bridge refurbishing proposal that we presented at our last meeting. Do I have
So it's at a state of.
do I have a
being-
motion?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
So
need
it's
a
at a
motion.
state of being approvable.
Yes.
Well, so moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Bonney,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Phillips. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstention? Good. The motion passes. Good. We have some reports, and we have some absences in reports. So the school liaison team, at least we have what's happening in the school, or what's going on in the school, Zoe. So why don't you, do you have anything to report other than the project on the signage replacement?
There's not much going on in school. A lot of people are busy right now we have a lot of volunteer field trips this season at Gabriel Richard, but I have been brainstorming ideas for Earth Day and some possible rewards to interest the kids that are already environmentally friendly. So I was thinking, I know Earthbound has these adorable tote bags that everybody loves for $3. I wouldn't mind going and getting a few of those to give out.
Cool. Good. I do know, I think, if nothing else, I'd like to approach the schools, Earth Day is April 22nd, which is a Monday this year. Approach all the schools to get involved in terms of their own grounds cleanup, neighborhood cleanups, things of that nature that they can do, you know, planting trees or planting flowers as appropriate, you know, should be warm by April 22nd, one would hope, okay? Things of that nature to make their little corner of the earth a little better place to live. So, and again, I think from the Grosseal Township schools, we're looking at how can we coordinate that K through 12? So if we can get that, so we'll have to move that forward. And I will,
If there could be some reward for that, like service points, if, you know, kids.
yeah, there's always like for a National Honor Society or Student Council.
Some kind of reward or a.
Mr. Battershall would definitely allow kids to earn service hours for that. And we might be able to, when my sister did a fundraiser when she was in high school, she was actually able to get the bakery to sponsor donuts. So we could talk to them about
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, something like that,
Good.
you know.
But I'd
And
like
the
to-
bags, it was a good idea, the bags for kids to do.
So April, mark your calendars for April 22nd, and at a school or neighborhood near you. It's good. Carl is not here, although I can tell you that I think I sent you guys an email, and the DDA is doing work on Macomb, and I think they have removed a number of benches that have been on Macomb because they're refurbishing and redoing some of the benches that are there. Some are wooden benches that have been dedicated to, you know, like memorial benches to certain individuals or families. Others are the plastic composite that we're probably accustomed to up and down the bike paths and things of that nature. So, Mr. Bloetscher and I became aware that these benches were being taken out of there. So we raised our hand and said, hey, can we take a few? So we were able to acquire three of the plastic ones. And again, they've been dedicated to, you know, as memorials in some cases, or one was like the Grosseal Lions. But we have taken them from building number 61 or whatever it is over here, and now they're in a safe, secure place.
Location.
But we have at least three, and there's another, it's not a plastic composite, it's a metal bench, you know, one of those green jobby-doos, okay? So we may have a fourth one. So if we're looking at benches or placement of benches, let's say at the trailheads, or even in, you know, halfway through on a trail, now we have them, okay? And again, putting them there, and they're heavy, so, you know, yeah, but that's not why Carl's not here after we're doing all that heavy lifting, but he's doing other kind of heavy lifting, recovering. But again, I think that's good news. Mandy, you have anything from the Nature and Land Conservancy?
You know, not a whole lot. Just that this Sunday at the Resource Center on Macomb Street for the Conservancy, there's a workshop. I lost my link in my phone, of course. I think it's from 1 to 2:30 Sunday afternoon. It's What's Beneath the Ground. And they just had one on the mammals. Did you go to that, Bert? The mammals?
No, I
Okay.
was,
So then, and that's the upcoming one. There's lots of organizing going on for the opening of the Resource Center in April. That's something else in April. That, you know, we're all really excited about, you know, the opening of the building, you know, so that it's, you know, for the public, and, you know, we're up to date with what's been done on the inside. It's an amazing building. They've done a great job. It's technology, the whole facilities. It's just, I wish the original founders were here to see this brick and mortar building that we now have for the Conservancy. It's just, actually, at the first meeting, I couldn't believe it, because we started out in people's homes and, you know, various places, the Historical Society having meetings when we started. So now we have this great new building. So that's coming up in April. you know, and the common thread with the Conservancy is we need more volunteers. And I've just finished writing the history of the Conservancy. Actually, I finished it yesterday.
Well, good for you.
And the common thread is volunteers. We always need more volunteers. If anyone is interested, you can look on the website, Grosedale Nature and Land Conservancy.org for volunteer opportunities. And also plus the list of upcoming events in the coming years on the website. So
Good.
that's about all I got for
Very
now.
good, thank you.
Hey,
Oh, that's good.
Mandy, just to add to that, that one workshop or whatever we call it, it's gonna be this Sunday, the 11th.
Yeah, the 11th, yeah.
Yeah, and it's from 1 to 2.
1 to 2:30.
It is 1 to 2:30, and the reason I know that is because you had it in the minutes for the last one, but
Yes, I did.
page 2 of our minutes are missing from this.
Is it not on the back
Yeah,
side?
well, that's page 3.
Oh,
And honestly, I didn't catch it before, because since I wrote the minutes, I didn't need to look at them again.
yes,
So I was looking to, double check what Mandy's dates, and it's like, wait a minute, her report's not in here.
Yeah, I did mention it.
I
the last-
apologize.
So everybody has an electronic copy of
Yes,
the
they
minutes, we
do.
just don't have
A
a complete
paper copy.
paper printout.
Right. My apologies, believe me.
You know, I have it. I didn't give it to anybody. I have the paper copy. Is that what you're
No, we're
saying?
good. No, we're good.
We're good?
No, just, there's 3, to the
Oh, we're
minutes,
missing
there's like,
one
we're
from
missing a
here?
page.
Okay, right.
I think everybody did the same thing. They already approved it electronically.
Yeah, I know, yes, I hear you. Okay,
Just out of curiosity, are you using the brick and mortar Nature and Land Conservatory building as a starting meeting point for Earth Day facilities or activities?
Oh, will it be a place for Earth Day activities? Is that what you said,
I'm
Teresa?
just suggesting that's a good central
Yes,
spot for
and being in
anybody.
April, yeah. And I'm not too sure, I haven't been on that committee. I'm not too sure what the exact date is, but I do think it is around Earth Day. Yeah, good point.
So any schools doing anything for Earth Day?
Right,
Could
could-
meet
yeah.
up there, that sort of thing.
exactly.
Any of these
Yeah.
side groups?
Mhm.
Give
Well, I
you-
think
give you
what's-
But out to the
exposure.
schools too.
So I'm on the education committee for the Conservancy, and so the Conservancy planned the grand opening to be the 13th and 14th of April, thinking that Kiwanis was going to plan the
for
cleanup,
Right.
as they always do on Earth Day weekend, but it's my understanding Kiwanis planned it for the 13th,
And the 14th?
with the 20th as a rain date.
Ah, okay.
So it's a little,
So it's like the weekend before Earth Day, they're doing Kiwanis is doing the island cleanup.
Right.
Okay.
the Conservancy is
Two
doing it.
weekends,
Another
2
2-day
Saturdays
opening.
before.
Sorry, I don't
Right.
have the dates, but it's on the website.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anyway, just a thought.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Teresa,
good.
anything on welcome letters? I know you sent a ton of them
Um,
at the last meeting we reported.
Yeah, I mean, it went fine. I guess my question earlier was with regards to, I think the best way to do the welcome letters is probably twice a year, versus,
Every month, right?
every month and,
Yes.
or, cause, there's gonna be months where there's very few, like January. And, anyway, and in addition to that, I guess I need to know if there are any more, of the open space, nature and land conservatory pamphlets that we mail out.
These,
Yeah.
Yes, because I used them all that I had stock for. So I would need,
No pressure, Bert, in getting them all done.
I think there might be some
Is there,
at the resource center,
oh, really?
so.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
so I would probably need, if we think we're going to get the new ones out this year, I would propose that we, the first half of the year, use the ones that we have, which
Right.
you would need about 50 of them. I probably have 25 or so.
Mhm.
So I don't need that many. And then the second half of the year, if we're able to get them done, then we would send out the new ones on the second
Right.
half.
That makes sense. That makes
That would
perfect.
probably be another 50
Right.
or 60
Okay.
point. So I would say budget-wise, or when you're figuring out how many we mail out, you're probably going to average about 150 or so a year.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, the real estate market is, it's been relatively consistent, so.
Right.
The 150 number is probably a good one
Mhm.
to know how many you want to
Right.
purchase or whatever, have on hand.
That's good to know, because,
Because you don't want to order too many and have too many old ones
Right.
before you
And we've
update.
had, and, you know, it was 2019 when you had these, and I know there, you know, at one point we had a lot, and now we're getting to a point where now we need, you know, we need an update. Yep, good. Anything else for the good of the cause?
I'd like to bring up one item is I sent out this afternoon somewhat of a draft of what potentially a trailhead sign could look like, outlining the use regulations that we would expect. That's something we should evaluate fairly soon, not necessarily today, but in the next month or two, because I believe we probably will have to go through either the board or some other committee to get approval that what we have on there is acceptable. Then we have to have them made up and then
Right.
install them. And come June, when things are warm and the trails have dried out, it'd be a good time to have those
'em up.
installed for that. So that's gonna be coming up pretty soon, so. Anyway, so like I said, I just put it together, and really what I did is just cobbled together things that are already in place from the Land Conservancy, who've also had those approved and reviewed by the township in that regard, so I'm not reinventing the wheel, but there may be some things in there we want to include or feel we don't need to include, so have at it, and we can start working out a final structure plan for going forward.
Putting them out, right. And everybody got that copy, or at least saw your email that Ray sent about like the possible signage?
see that, but I'll look.
Yeah, look, it's good. Okay, anything else?
Yes, I forgot something in my
Oh.
report.
Okay,
The scholarships are available for the Dr. Jones Memorial Scholarship for high school seniors, and they can pick up an application in the high school counseling office.
good.
Apologies.
All right, so Zoe,
Oh.
you need to swing by there and you can still
No,
pick
no,
up
no,
one
well,
of those.
wait.
And apply, Zoe, apply.
Well, this is the first, so the scholarship was, first started in 2012, and it was
Yes.
always just targeted at Groseal High School seniors, but this is the first year where we're opening it to Groseal residents who attend other schools.
Yeah.
Good.
And so you can get
Yes,
that
thanks,
on the Conservancy website.
Okay, thank
Good, awesome. Good,
Thanks.
okay. I know the buses are circling the parking lot in the,
You
they're
used
still,
that line last
I
month,
use
so you
it
gotta come up with a new
every
one.
time, all right, okay. It's a question of.
It's 2024,
Is there-
come up
is
with
there
something
any-
new.
Is there any public comment from those in attendance? Okay. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:24.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Phillips. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can sit here. Okay. Thank you. And good night.